Basically, whatever it is, on my head.
Do I need to talk loud or normal?
Southeast Texas Weekly. I'm Kevin Steele. Thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate it very much. And again, it is time to talk politics. And joining us today to do so, a very special guest, State Senator Brandon Creighton, joining us from the Conroe area. Great to see you, man.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks so much, sir. I tell you what, it's this district is a wide district, and I know you're over here a lot, but it's still a pretty large geographical area. So anytime we get you, we very much appreciate it.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Let's jump into this matter, and we could start anywhere. But let's start on this idea of the immigration reforms that the national politicians are talking a lot about. Mm-hmm. But you too have been strident in your views that we need to tighten up the border in the past. Tell us a little bit about your views on how we do so from the state vantage point. What do we need to do that we haven't done? I know we've taken big steps in this in the past few years.
Well, there's certainly a lot of politics involved and a lot of rhetoric on, who's right on the border issue.
Yeah.
But in my personal trips to the border and the DPS Operations Center at Weslaco and visiting with families, sheriff's deputies, federal agents, just those that are impacted, it's a Texas issue. And as long as the federal government chooses to refuse to follow the Constitution and chooses to not secure our border, Texans are going to take action, and we did in the last session.
Yeah, that was extraordinary. I think some of the other states, the border states, were surprised at the lengths to which Texas went, increasing the DPS presence. You talked about the amount of funding that we've, as a state, pumped into the idea.
Well, I think the surprise around the country was first that politicians actually that have taken an oath to protect and defend the Constitution really did it. So when we came through and did what we said we would do, it certainly shows Arizona and California and many others, hopefully in the congressional positions, that we're not going to stand by and forfeit our public safety. The bad guys with guns, drugs, cartels, human trafficking, and all the bad intentions, that is a real issue. Mm-hmm. And just as recent as last summer, we had 300,000 apprehensions along the Texas border that were not from Mexico. Mm-hmm. So this is a very serious problem, and our public safety is at risk, and our DPS officers are going to make a difference.
Well, we have a candidate, GOP presidential candidate, Donald Trump coming into Beaumont, as you know, in just a couple of days, and we were talking about this matter of a border fence that Trump proposes. Just out of curiosity, with the visits that you've made to the valley, does this matter of a Trump fence, does it work is it practical in your view?
You know, I'll believe it when I see it. We've seen a fence approved. A border fence approved in Washington, D.C. in the past with never any intentions to fund that effort. But would a physical fence and laser technology along the hot spots of the Texas border be, very much a positive in our efforts to turn back illegal immigration? Absolutely. So, what our $800 million funding effort put into play in the Texas legislative session just a few months ago will provide helicopters, artillery boats, a mission command center to be built, and increased DPS presence along the border. And we've seen in 60-day surges for those efforts that there are real effects, positive effects that will take place in those efforts. The cartels know when the DPS for Texas is present along the border. In the past, they've just waited that 60 days for that temporary surge to expire. Now that we don't have any expiration in place.
Former candidate Mitt Romney talked about the E-Verify system and stopping the magnet illegal immigration, in that the E-Verify system, the system that would theoretically be a proof that you are a legal citizen of the United States and therefore could be considered for employment. It's been said a lot that the E-Verify system just doesn't work. Well, some parts of it we know definitely do work. Texas government uses it. What are your views on E-Verify and how that could be mixed into, broadly speaking, an immigration reform bill?
Well, we've had much debate over E-Verify in the legislature. A few sessions ago, we actually passed a bill out of the House that didn't make it through the Senate. This past session, we implemented measures that will apply to state government. And so we're on the path of fostering sort of a culture of making E-Verify a reality and seeing that it will be successful, hopefully. You know, it's an interesting blend where the federal government continues to fail to secure our border, yet politicians want to place the burdens on business.
Yeah.
As some sort of an excuse to handle the problem. We've got to somehow find a balance there where both are taking place, and there's a responsibility across the board, because we can all complain about it, but if we're not going to share in the solutions,
have skin in the
we're
game.
all at fault.
Well, we've talked about this thing with Donald Trump, and he proposes large-scale deportations. We saw in debates just days ago. Do you think these deportations are impractical, as Ohio Governor John Kasich said, or is this, you know, large-scale deportations? Is it something that can work, as Trump put it back in the Eisenhower days?
Well, first of all, I think John Kasich was in the wrong debate. So I don't know if he missed the debate with Hillary and Bernie a few weeks prior, but you know, what is my opinion on the comments about how we can handle the issue? You know, a comprehensive immigration reform at the federal level has to take place, and the opinions and the influence from that pulpit of who holds that powerful position in the White House can bring that to a reality. But I'm fully supportive of efforts to make sure that those that come here for a better opportunity come here legally, and that we remain a nation of laws.
Boy, this time rolls fast. I'm going to go really fast with you here, because we so much appreciate having you. You sit with the Business and Commerce Committee, and you look at this idea of the insurance reforms, the TWIA reforms.
Sure.
As I understand it, it was a start, and yet there's more to do.
Yes, I mean, Senator Larry Taylor out of Friendswood did a fantastic job on the bill that was ultimately passed. I was able to and proud to co-author that effort that will add individuals from the coastal communities to the actual TWIA board. And we would have thought, you know, surely that's the case from years past, that if policies that are going to affect all of us in Southeast Texas certainly would be implemented by leadership from our communities.
We'd have a voice. Yeah.
Now it'll happen.
Now it will happen. So at least it's a start, and more to go.
Yeah.
Well, how disappointed are you in the 20-week abortion bill? With a state as conservative as we are, were you disappointed at the actual opposition that we did see to the abortion bill?
Well, you know, I support the protection of human life at inception and also at the end of life in you know, ways that I feel like I'm aligned with the majority of Texans easily. But certainly, you know, that 20-week ban was very important to a strong majority of Texans, and it was important to me to be right there in that fight to get that bill passed. So I was proud of it.
And do you believe that the science is settled on fetal pain at as far as 20 weeks?
Yes.
Totally, yeah. That's a great
Okay.
answer. That's
Thank
the
you.
only one-word answer I've ever heard a politician ever say.
I'll take the notoriety on that. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much. We
Appreciate
appreciate
the
it. We're
time.
going to be back with more Southeast Texas Weekly in just a second. Stay with us.